Michael McCullough, and I was the senior hurling coach this year. To be honest with you, I would never have used performance analysis, would have been sceptical of it for a long period of time. My outlook was always, if I need someone on the stands with a camera to tell me what's going wrong, I'm not doing the job myself. And even in hindsight, what use is it knowing after the match? But through suppose we were educational and becoming more aware of it, we could use it a couple of times this year, even just in exploratory situations, and then obviously it became vital for us at the end of the year. And we would have lads that would have been clued in and interested enough, boys that maybe done sports science and boys in university and maybe in other sports that have used it. And then we've the full spectrum in me, like we've lads who are just pulled off a roof or pulled off a farm who would be, still trying to use their remote control to turn their phone on or something at home, But ultimately, one of them stands out in mind at the end of the year, in our video sessions. One of them have been video or technologically up to date, but when he was able to get, what do you call them, episodes really, on his phone showing the messages that we were telling him, and then seeing him, actually realising, God, I didn't do that, or I did do that, or I see what they mean. And I mean, it sort of changed his whole game for him, even in a short space of time. I don't know if it's fair to say, but I don't think Meath would have won the Christy Ring without it. Ahead of the final, we had obviously match-ups with players that were going to mark certain players. These players would never have seen the people that they're going to mark before. They would know nothing about them, and I would have knew them, obviously my background being in Antrim, and I know how dangerous and how good these players are. And if these players all of a sudden got a confidence of a 10-minute run with a score 3, 4, 5 points, we wouldn't have contained them at all. So it was very, very useful to the point where we were able to tell, send a video along. So like Sean Gurley, for example, got a video sent to him. It was maybe a 4 or 5 minute worth of video on the man that he was going to mark in Croke Park, and he was able to sit and see, and we'd encourage him to, look at patterns, look at the way he turns, look at, does he take a touch in the hurl early, does he look to go left, look to go right. And ultimately Sean, I remember Sean speaking to me after, and he says he must have watched the thing near 100 times ahead. He nearly knew the lad off by heart, which all of a sudden takes the fear factor of it. There was a big fear factor and nervousness getting into Croke Park for these lads for the first time, without the added worry of what exactly is coming out the door to face me. So before the ball was even through in, all our players knew what they were coming up against. Coming into the final, when we wanted to get the player profiles of the opposition, we actually tagged the game or tagged their previous games as if we were them. So we had shots for shot, and then that would have been a score away, a goal away, dropped short, etc. Or we would have had tackle, would have been body, hook or block, them type of things. And what we were looking to do was get information on the other team out of that. And then by doing so, obviously if you go through that, you click, say, shot, score, point, Michael McCullough. So I was starting to create a profile of Michael McCullough, which meant at the end of that, all Michael McCullough's episodes were recorded, so I could have a full rundown on what he does in a game. And after we'd done that over 2 or 3 games, that gave us a wealth of information on where this person likes to shoot from, how he likes to tackle, what way he takes people on, etc. And then that would create that database on the opposition. If we looked at our own play, then we would have looked at stuff like delivery of ball, retention of ball, things that were key to us, taking men on. And take the man on. Did that result in a foul for, a foul against, breaking the tackle, etc.? We were then looking to encourage was, we can manipulate them too. If I was to take you on 6 times and only get past you once, well, and that was the message that we wanted to give to the players, then I would only bring that clip to the table. So it depended really on what we wanted to show, and ultimately what the sessions were that we were using to build up. Had an emphasis then on what the KPIs were. As I said at the start, I wouldn't have been a fan of performance analysis, and I think a lot that had to do was because it sort of nearly frightened me with it. But I thought Performa Sports, when we got it and it was shown to us, is so easy to use, it's so adaptable. And I say the lads from Performa came down and actually worked with the analysis and showed them, and we're always on call to help us, and I say it's been massive help from them. It was a strange one for myself with being from Antrim, and I always like Antrim to do well, but all I could describe was you know, for Meath and then Meath lads in the dressing room, it was probably all their birthdays, their Christmas and all rolled into one. So, you know, the scenes in the dressing room were phenomenal for them, you know, and it was fantastic. And ultimately I got great satisfaction out of, you know, seeing a group of lads achieve. I mean, I would be that type of coach where I don't really pin it and winning. You know, thankfully I would always say to teams about, you know, don't worry about the scoreboard, let it worry about itself. And after obviously the mess of Christy Ring this year, that couldn't be more true. Like.